Hello, I'm Dan Thies, and welcome to Link Liberation 3. Link Liberation is the link building course for the rest of us. Those who don't want to play high-risk games with the search engines, who want to build long-term value in their links, and maybe, just maybe, would even like their link building to turn a profit for a change. This is week 1, defining your persona. But before we dive in too deep, let's take a quick look at the big picture and the whole plan that you'll be implementing as we go through the Link Liberation training. So in this first video, I'll explain 1, how the course is organized week by week and why it's structured as it is. I've been teaching and training for more than 20 years, and in fact, I've been teaching a lot of these methods in some form or fashion since 2001. We've got a lot of experience with this, and our students in the previous Link Liberation course were absolutely invaluable in helping us restructure the training for Link Liberation 3. And second, how you can get the most out of this training program, whether you're doing this for your own business, for your employer, or as a consultant working with clients. This includes the simple stuff like what to do when you have a question to more important things like how to organize yourself so that you can learn better, and making sure that every aha moment that you have during the training gets translated into action on your part later on. So let's begin by looking at how the course is organized. Link Liberation is structured as an 8-week course with 6 training modules and 2 practice modules, which will take place during weeks 3 and 6 of the training. During the practice modules, we'll go over many different case studies and examples, and you can follow along as I build a brand new website using Link Liberation to grow and build my audience. Each participant in the course will have the opportunity to submit their market and website for use as a case study, and I would encourage you to do so. You can submit your site for consideration in a case study using the online form in our members portal. There's a link below the video. Here's how this will work if your site is selected. I will review your site with the help of Andrea, Leslie, and other members of the SEO Brain Trust team. We will perform a market analysis and suggest ways to best use Link Liberation in your business. We may contact you to schedule a brief one-on-one consultation if we need your help in understanding the business, and this conversation will be strictly confidential. A brief summary of our analysis will be shared with everyone participating in the Link Liberation training, but we won't tell anyone the name of your business, the location of your website, or even your name if you're not comfortable sharing that information. So the case study that we share with your fellow students will be more along the lines of, we have a site that sells baby shoes. This appears to be a high second-tier market. A good topic would be teaching your baby to walk, with secondary topics around infant development and learning. This could be easily positioned on the parent site as a subdomain or on a secondary domain associated with the parent brand, and that's about it. Outside of that, we're not going to be telling people how you run your business or things like that. So, moving on, to look at it another way, Link Liberation 3 is organized into 3 sections or sprints with 2 training modules in each and 1 practice module in between each of those. In the first section, we'll focus on audience building and content development. This by itself should be enough to begin moving the needle in terms of traffic and links for a lot of websites, but the main goal here is to build the engine that will drive your link building activities going forward. The first practice module will cover audience building topics and personas with case studies on different markets and how to use the management tools that we've created for this, the daily and weekly action plans and the planning worksheets. In the second section, we'll expand the reach and impact of your campaign by tying your social presence into your website more and making the most of, or as we say in Link Liberation, leveraging, the investment that you've made in audience, topic, and persona to create compelling content that your audience will love without investing a great deal of time, money, and energy in the process. At this point, you've got everything you need to build links like crazy. You could literally build an entire business based on nothing but the core Link Liberation activities of audience building, content development, and social marketing. In fact, we know more than a few people who have done exactly that. In the third section, you'll learn how to leverage the audience you've created in ways that may in some cases be familiar to you, along with others that you've never heard of, but always with a Link Liberation twist. This means looking for the most economically efficient ways to create content and links and leveraging your existing assets to expand your audience into new channels and new forms of media. This will run the gamut from mobile to video, community building, branding, and yes, even how to do link building outreach efficiently by leveraging the assets and audience that you've created in Link Liberation. Your competition isn't going to stop working, and neither should you, but by working smarter as opposed to harder, it's possible to gain and keep a competitive edge. So let's talk for a minute about how you become the next big Link Liberation success story. Just for the sake of keeping my conscience clear, I'm going to give you the same advice that I've been giving people for years when they go through any training program. The best way to get long-term results is to go through the entire program once purely to learn, then develop a plan and go through the material again as you put everything that you've learned into practice. I offer this advice for a simple reason. What seems like a good idea early on in the training might not sound so great later on when you understand the big picture more completely. You might think of a great topic for audience building early on and then realize that a different topic works better for link baiting, event marketing, YouTube marketing, and many other marketing channels. We're going to cover a lot of ground in this course, and while I still stand by that advice, we have structured the course to be a little bit more effective for people who just can't wait to get started and do something because we know you're out there. There's an old saying among carpenters that you should measure twice and cut once, but I also happen to know a lot of carpenters who take a measure once approach and start cutting wood as quickly as they can. They do this because they're willing to accept that they might need to go back and cut a new piece of wood every now and then. They can also build stuff faster that way. So if you just can't wait through the entire 8-week training before you do something, here's what I suggest. We'll spend the first 2 weeks going over audience building and then beginning to talk about content development. The third week is a practice module, and that would be the perfect time to begin implementing the audience building strategies that you've learned. This means that in the first 3 weeks you could be developing a plan for a topic and persona, finding stories about the topic, and mapping out an audience building strategy before you actually start doing the work. That's a good idea anyway. Because we covered content development a little bit in the first 2 weeks, and because you will have at least a little bit of big picture stuff presented to you in the case studies during the third week, you should have a pretty good idea by the end of the third week exactly what topics you're going to want to work with. That means that you could actually dive into implementation with pretty low risk. As we go through content development and the leverage engine concepts in weeks 4 and 5, you might decide to make some tiny course corrections, but it's unlikely that you would need to rethink things altogether. During the second practice module in week 6, you'll be looking at case studies that encompass the entire spectrum of link liberation marketing, both marketing and link building, and you'll be well positioned to pick and choose from the variety of options that present themselves to leverage the audience building and content development activities that you've already begun. Of course, this only works if you actually set aside the time. I've seen far too many people fail because while they might have enough time to go through the training material, they try to implement right away and they bog down over the little tiny details of implementation, and as a result they never actually use the training time that they have to get any learning done because they're too busy trying to figure out which WordPress plugin they want to use for what. The total amount of content that you need to consume each week for training amounts to somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes. If you go through everything twice, which I recommend, you may need 2 to 3 hours for learning time at the most. Implementation of the core audience building and content development systems will take around the same amount of time or more if you're interviewing and hiring team members or outsourcers to do the work. Once you have systems in place and working, the time commitment shouldn't be nearly so heavy, but everyone I have ever worked with vastly overestimates their ability to get things done in a given amount of time. And you do not want to sacrifice learning because you got bogged down in implementation details. So if your time is limited or extremely limited, I'd say that the decision is already made for you. Go through the training, take notes, learn and plan, and then begin implementation once you have completed the training. We're talking about 8 weeks here. And there may be a point earlier in the training where everything crystallizes, clicks, however you want to put it, and you know that you're ready to implement, and that's fine. When you have questions, ask. There's a threaded discussion section under each video where you can ask questions about that video. The discussion area on each video is for discussion of that specific video's content and how to apply it to your business. Off-topic comments and questions will be removed. If you have questions about anything that isn't related to specific course content, please contact our support team via the support tab in the members portal. We are staffed from Monday through Friday during business hours, and we strive to respond to every request within a single business day. The process of note-taking is important to learning. Study after study has shown this, but the way you take notes in a classroom is different and should be different from the way that you take notes in an online training program like Link Liberation, where you can revisit the content at any time. I like to use a simple 2-column approach to note-taking. I divide the page in two, just draw a big line down the middle, label the first column takeaways and the second column actions. Whenever you see something that you want to jot down, an important idea that you want to remember, it goes in the takeaways section. Whenever you see something that you need to act on, write that down in the actions column. Go through the training once, taking notes, and try to go through it with as little interruption as possible. Then take your notes and go through the material again, stopping to assign tasks, put milestones on the calendar, and brainstorm things like topics, personas, and link bait ideas as appropriate to whatever topic it is that you're studying. We've made it very easy to go through the material twice by providing video, audio, and even transcripts, which will lag a few days behind the videos, for every training module. This means that you can watch the videos, then go over the material a second time using the audio or transcripts. If you're taking the notes to the couch or to bed, you can throw the audio on your iPhone, your iPod, or your MP3 player and listen as you go through your notes. If you're working in the bathtub, please just print out the transcripts unless you have a waterproof iPod. We don't want you electrocuting yourself or something. One of our students sells waterproof cases, by the way, and I've heard that she literally listens to us in the shower. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but the important thing is that she's going through the material more than once, and you should too. Finally, our greatest success stories come from people who put a strong focus on implementing the basics, also known as the boring stuff. The core activities like audience building, abstracting, and that kind of stuff are not the most exciting things you will ever do in your life. Compared to, say, skiing or skydiving, the adrenaline level is going to be pretty low. But these basic, everyday, boring activities consistently lead to people being able to afford skiing vacations, skydiving lessons, fine wines, and other more exciting things. You do the boring stuff, or you invest in hiring, training, and managing the people who will do it, because it enables you to do the more interesting stuff. Coming up with link bait ideas, event marketing campaigns, blasting your email list with an offer that you know is going to generate a bunch of profit, that's fun for us marketers, but unless someone does the boring stuff, the fun stuff is either not going to happen, or it simply won't have the same effect. I have lost count of the number of people who have doubled, tripled, or quadrupled their business by doing nothing but the boring stuff. The good news is that the boring stuff is actually very cheap to outsource, easy to manage, and even if you're doing it all by yourself, it's not particularly time consuming. The basic blocking and tackling activities in Link Liberation are audience building and abstracting. They might be a little bit boring, depending on how interested you are in the topics you're using, but they're easy, like easy peasy easy to do. Spending even an hour or two a week on these can get you a long way toward Google-proofing your business and generating the kind of traffic, revenue, and profits that you need in order to make Link Liberation truly the last SEO training that you'll ever need. At the end of most training videos, there will be a short Exercise Yourself section to help you make sure that you understand the material. If you want to practice note-taking, you could grab a notepad and set it up as I described, or if you're like me and have difficulty drawing a straight line, you can download and print out our fancy PDF note-taking template. There's a link right above this video. And ask yourself the important questions. How much time do you actually have? What day of the week, or what days, it's probably better to pick two, will be your Link Liberation days when you watch videos, take notes, and make plans? And is it today, or is it not today? And if it's not today, it's okay to put it on the calendar and start tomorrow. So here's what's coming during the rest of week 1. In the next video, we'll talk about the 3-tiered approach that we take to different markets in Link Liberation. It's important to understand this so that you can take effective action throughout the course. Next, we'll talk about customer avatars, audience, and persona, which helps you figure out who you want to talk to, what you want to talk to them about, and how you want to position yourself in the market. In the 4th video of Module 1, we'll go over the process of getting more specific on the topics your persona will cover, how to find stories that you can share with your audience, and begin mapping out a plan for the kind of original content that you'll create later on in the program. In the 5th video, you'll learn about venues and stacking, how the different methods, tactics, and techniques that we teach in Link Liberation fit together strategically, and call out some special opportunities for audience building that might exist in some different markets. Finally, in the 6th video, we'll explain how future-proofing is also the best strategy in the present, why quality is so important for your online success in the long term, and how to spot the kind of schemes and scams and stupidity that can put you on the wrong side of search engines. All right, let's do this. On to the next video.